I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no one for open forum this evening. Thank you. Okay, getting into our agenda to kick things off on a very high note, we have special recognition. Unfortunately, Principal Craven was not able to be with us this evening, so we are going to hold off on item A. So let's skip right over to item B, Student Spotlight, Carson Scholar Award, Dr. Sanchioni.
Okay, so I don't think Nora's here, so why don't we just go with the people who are here first.
Okay.
And maybe they'll show up and we can catch them at the end.
Well, I see the Soa family's here.
Yeah. So I know that Brendan Sower is here. So let me tell you about Brendan. He's going to receive the Rhode Island Golden Dozen for Football Award. Brendan is one of only 12 football players in the entire state of Rhode Island to receive this recognition for football excellence combined with high academic success and civic leadership. A committee of 12 selects students annually. The chapter is known for its active involvement in the local football community, honoring not only student athletes, but also coaches, politicians, business leaders, philanthropists who have made a significant impact, just like Brendan. Brendan was the receiver, kicker, and defensive back on this year's past team, which meant he never came off the field. I would like to see what his body looked like on Thanksgiving. I'm sure it was pretty bruised up. And most importantly, Brendan is following his older brother to Boston College and also following his father's steps there too. So we want to congratulate Brendan for his great academic achievement and athletic achievement in football. Brendan, why don't you come on up? And congratulations.
Okay, do we have any of the other recipients with us this evening?
No? Do you want to do them in
absentia,
absentee?
or?
Do you want to do them in absentee, or do you want to?
Why don't we put them on our next agenda?
Okay.
And if we can get them to come, great. If not, then we will do so at that time. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. All right, next is our consent agenda. We have school committee meeting minutes from March 4th, both regular and executive session. We have school committee meeting minutes from March 18th, also regular and executive session. We have April enrollment, and we have correspondence in the form of multiple resolutions. We have a resolution from Woonsocket for student transportation, a resolution from Coventry, and these are all the school committees in support of the Rhode Island House Bills H5399 and Senate S0334. School committee resolutions from Cumberland for student transportation. School committee resolutions from North Kingstown, also student transportation regarding private school. School committee resolutions from Middletown in support of House Bill 5399 and Senate 334. School committee resolutions from North Smithfield for student transportation specific to private school. School committee resolutions from Burrillville, student transportation, again, private school. School committee resolutions from Bristol Warren Regional in support of House Bills 5420 and Senate 636. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? 4-0, thank you. Next up on Chairpersons Remarks, the Rhode Island Association of School Committees annual meeting. I had this put on the agenda as a gentle reminder to everyone. If you haven't received the email directly from the association, their annual meeting is scheduled for May 3rd at the Crown Plaza in Warwick. This is an all-day from 8:30 to 3, I think it is, event. There are going to be a number of presentations, specifically from RIPEC on school funding. Also, we just learned yesterday that Senator Reid will be in attendance at this meeting and speaking to the current status of the United States Department of Education and any related funding issues that may arise. So I think this is going to be a very good session. I encourage you all to register. And I also remind everyone that attendance at this session does fulfill your annual obligation for 6 hours of continuing education. So that is all I have to say on that one. Hope to see you there. All right, takes us over to general business. We have a number of items this evening, starting with, we're going to vote to accept a donation of a children's book donation from Pocasset School. So Dr. Sanchioni and Mr. Marx.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I was approached by our high school social studies teacher, Mr. Marx, regarding putting in a book donation type of, well, I'll let him describe it better than I can, but it's a wonderful idea, and so, Mr. Marx.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchioni. Thank you for having me on the agenda this evening.
Can you turn your mic on? Thank you.
Bingo, red light. Thank you to my tech master behind me. So just a quick slide here to walk you through my thinking. So my mom was a dedicated employee here at Tiverton Schools since before Pocasset. She started at Hooper Judson back in the late 60s, and she was 2 years in the classroom and then became a reading teacher and fell in love with that. She taught reading for some 30 years before retiring, and then came back after retirement to be a reading recovery teacher for another decade. It was really her passion, her family, and her reading profession. So in light of that, her being a very private person, I thought it made a lot of sense to pitch a donation box, like a model I have up there on the left, to install at Pocasset with a small plaque and allow people to donate books to pass out to children in the elementary schools here in town. There's hardly a week that goes by that I've lived in town since I've taught that someone doesn't walk up to me and say that they had my mother as a teacher and she helped them learn how to read, or their children. And that's been a great thing throughout my career to have and to know. This picture was taken just a year ago with my brother and I at the Black Goose. She physically lived a great life and cognitively for a long time as well. So the pitch is simple. I would install it, purchase the box. I actually did a punch sheet and realized very quickly that I would be spending a lot more money than if I were to buy a pre-made installation. The Pocasset, I surveyed the land. This is thanks to Google Earth, but there's not a lot of grass space. It's a lot of concrete. So where I was imagining was to the left when you first pull in across from the main entrance, near the flagpole, set back enough. And I would design it so that it could be removed too. We would certainly, I think, have a date where it would be kind of ribbon cutting and allow people to come that day. I would be there. And I know a lot of colleagues have come up to me as they found out, expressing that they'd like to come that day. Going forward, we'd see how it went, and I would certainly, if in talking to Ms. Blazer, who I think would be the librarian at that point in time, if it was something that was not, getting a lot of business, or it would be something that could be removed very quickly and go back to the original grass. So that's the pitch. I'd certainly take any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to accept this donation of the book deposit box from Mr. Marx?
I'll make that
I'll
motion.
make that motion. I'll second it.
Okay, so now, anyone have questions or comments they'd like to make?
Yes,
I have just one question.
certainly.
Someone would check the box weekly or
So
whatever.
yeah, that's the
every
thing.
few days,
I'd
just to see what
I
was
would
in
do
there and-
upkeep and certainly all that,
Yeah,
the Thompson's
I'm
water
sure,
stuff.
I'm
But
sure.
I would stop by weekly as well, but I think Ms. Blazer's on track to be
Yeah.
a floating librarian, and we're excellent friends, and I would stop and see her and check base with her how it's going and what I could do to support it. I would have a padlock system where she would have a key, I would have a key. Anybody else that needed one
Right.
would have one. And yeah, it would kind of be play it by ear thing, but I think it would be pretty smooth.
Okay. Excellent idea. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I think it's a great idea.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Any
Oh,
questions?
yeah, definitely. It sounds like your mom was an amazing woman. I didn't live in Tiverton all my life. I didn't have her for a teacher,
Yeah.
but she sounds like quite an amazing woman. She raised an awesome son. That's so sweet of you. What a great idea that is.
I appreciate that and your time here today.
Yeah.
I do want you to consider the placement
Mhm.
of the box.
Certainly.
And certainly work with the school administration on this. but
Definitely, yeah, and this wasn't certainly in stone.
My-
It could be flexible.
I know there are cameras
Yep,
at Pocasset. I don't know what areas they cover.
right.
And my concern is the potential for vandalism.
Certainly, yep.
So if it could be placed somewhere that is within the camera eye,
That makes great sense.
I think that would be a good idea. If
Mhm.
that spot works, then that's great, but, you know, let's make sure it's protected.
Well, I appreciate that. That's a
as well.
great suggestion.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. We have comments. So all those in favor? It is approved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, next up, we have accept 2 grants from Upwith Arts in the amounts of $800 and $1,260, and respectively. Ms. Palumbo?
Hi. I'm here to ask you to accept those 2 grants. The $800 one from Upwood School Arts would benefit our high school newspaper and our journalism club. We started a website last year, and we found it to be really successful. And we had views all over the country and some in Canada, so it's like really spreading. And so the $800 would be to renew that. And then the $1,260 is so we can print quarterly printed newspapers. Our students conducted like a survey to see what people would be interested in seeing like as our journalism program grows, and they said they would like to read like paper newspapers. We'd like to expand in that way too.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept these 2 grants, one for $800, one for $1,260 from Upward Arts?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, are there any comments, questions?
Sounds good.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Approved, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Em.
Okay, we're just chugging along tonight. Approved grant for the cyber awareness training in the amazing amount of $26,500. Is this for a junket to Sri Lanka for training?
Good evening, I'm Daniel Andrade, Director of Technology here. Recently, me and Brendan Andrade, we applied for the eCivics grant for cybersecurity trainings. We got approved by them for the plan that we put in place for this project. We plan on using the funds for a platform that we already kind of have in place right now that I went over with you guys in an executive session for the cybersecurity threats and stuff like that that comes in to our district. So we plan on using this fund to keep that product in place, to take it off of our budget sheets and essentially pay for it for hopefully 2-3 years. So I'm just looking for approval for us to move forward with the bidding process on this grant, because that's like the next step for, to move
Okay.
forward.
Do I have a motion to accept the grant in the amount of $26,500 from eCivics for cyber awareness training?
Motion to approve the grant.
Do I have
I'll
a
second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Thank you for explaining that, because that does help a lot, and we all appreciate any efforts you make to find ways to find, in this case, substantial funding for something that we won't have to take out of our operations accounts, so wonderful. Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Danny.
Okay, next up, we have homeschool requests for 2024-25. Mrs. Kraeger.
We have 3 students whose families have requested homeschooling for the remainder of the school year. They have provided us with the requirements outlined in our homeschool policy, so I just ask for your approval for those 3 students.
Do I have a motion to approve these homeschool requests?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? None here, I will second. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay. Oh, next up, review and approve school committee resolution in support of Rhode Island House Bill H 5420 and S 636, and that one comes to me. So in your packets this week, you'll see a resolution that was crafted. It's from a template that I received from the Rhode Island Association of School Committees, and it is in support of two resolutions, two bills currently in front of the legislature. The House version of this has already passed, but I felt that it was important for us to show our support regardless. Senate bills are still pending. Basically, what this is, it is to do two things. First of all, it is for the ability to increase the allowable pupil passenger limit. I didn't think I'd have a hard time saying that, but I did. From the current 8 to 10 students, and that could ultimately save us in any number of districts some money. They are also looking for the General Assembly to enact the bill which would reduce bus driver certification training requirements for applicants that already hold a commercial driver's license, and to allow for the Division of Motor Vehicles to grant temporary licenses to school bus drivers that are licensed in bordering states. So for example, if someone has a license in Massachusetts to drive a bus and they want to jump the line, right now, from what I understand, it's a very onerous process and a lengthy process. This bill is meant to give the opportunity for such folks to get on the road faster and service our students. So my request this evening, and I guess I will make this motion, to approve this resolution on behalf of the Tiverton School Committee in support of Rhode Island House Bill 5420 and Senate Bills 636 and 397, I'm sorry, for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, request to withdraw OPEB funds in the amount of $153,041. Mr. Andrade.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In front of you this morning in your in front of you this evening in your packet, I'm requesting approval to withdraw a portion of the funds in OPEB investment account. For you that don't know what OPEB is, it's basically like a savings account for a government or employer use to cover retired healthcare costs, health insurance, dental, life insurance, not pensions. But as outlined on January 10th, this was part of the corrective action plan that was distributed with the ongoing deficit. So as you're aware from the packet, OPEB has been around since 2016. The Tiverton School Department has never made any deposits into the account. Simply, the account has grown just from the initial balance that was put in through the trust plan and also any medical credits that occurred over those years. With that said, no money has ever been withdrawn either. So right now, our balance in OPEB is, as of March 31st, 2025, is $637,892. So with your permission this evening, I'm asking to withdraw a number not to exceed $153,041. And the reason that is because you can only withdraw the last 2 fiscal years, so that would be FY '24 and '25. So I wouldn't actually withdraw till the end of June until we saw pretty close to our final actuals come in, so that's the not to exceed number. The number could grow that, but I think that should help us offset some of this deficit for FY '25.
Do I have a motion to approve this request to withdraw no more than $153,041 from the district's OPEB funds to apply toward our current deficit?
Motion to approve this request.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I just have a couple questions. The expenses that you're showing, is that administrative fees for the fund, or?
The $10,000?
Yeah.
That's expenses just like a 401K or 403B when stuff's happening through a investment account. That's the type of expenses that go through. It's not actual, expense like a general fund expense.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically to operate the fund. And that's $10,000 since 2016, so it's very light.
Yeah, let's invest in that.
Yeah.
So understanding as well that this was quoted as of, I thought it was January, but yeah, January 31st, right, the market value?
Yeah, January 31st, but I gave the 637 as of March 31st.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
And as of April 10th, is it $20 less?
It's pretty much flat, yeah. I think it will go down a little bit just because of the ongoing tariff situation, but, yeah.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, well, I know you explained what the OPEB trust is, but for the benefit of our new members, I would like to go into it just a little bit more. In 2016, when this was put out, this was a change in accounting rules that
Correct.
came about here. And the school committee at that time voted to actually make those deposits to the OPEB account. The OPEB account, from my understanding at that time, and correct me if I'm wrong, covers the insurance costs for retirees until if they retire before 65, until 65. And it is not for life.
Correct.
We do not have a significant outstanding OPEB liability above and beyond this. Correct me if I'm wrong on that?
You are correct, and that's why I'm proposing,
Right, so
utilizing
this
this
shouldn't
fund.
harm
correct.
our position or ability to pay, because we do pay for those premiums out of our budgets
Correct.
now. So just as a further explanation, that this isn't taking from a fund that can't handle this for this time. Now, I'd recommend that we do find a way to bring it back up to a reasonable amount, but it's not an urgency such as would be the case for the town. They
Correct.
have a much bigger OPEB liability than we do. So, okay.
Brendan,
And-
what will this reduce the deficit to, once you've taken
So
this?
this was already part of the corrected action plan. We just didn't have a firm number as, again, this goes back to January, so I don't expect you to remember that, but I'll get to that in 2 slides from now.
Okay.
But the deficit continues to grow, which you'll see in 2 slides.
Okay.
Great,
So, yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, next we have review and approve the transportation bid. Mr. Andrade.
So in front of you this evening, I provided a analysis that was provided to us for our outside consultant that we use for bid transportation. As it states, we went out to bid with Middletown, Little Compton, and Bristol Warren. We went out to bid for a 3-year bid with two additional option years for a total of 5 years. The bid package was emailed to 76 people representing 64 potential bidders. The following 5 companies attended the non-mandatory bid on February 12th. That was Wayland City Transit, First Student, School Transportation of America, Durham, and Ocean State Transit. On March 14th, the bids were opened here in Tiverton by myself with Middletown, Little Compton, Bristol Warren, and 3 bidders in attendance. That was Wayland City, First Student, and Ocean State. And those were also the only 3 bids we received. So as you'll see on page 2, don't let this number scare you. I'll get into it a little bit. But as you can see, all the districts are listed here, but Tiverton received a bid from Ocean State of a little under $9.4 million over a 3-year period. So that's 3 years altogether. And again, I'll explain the bid award a little bit because it's not essentially that much. First Student is $8.9 million, and Wayland City was $10.6 million. So again, on page 3, you're going to kind of see some comparisons, but it's tough to use this comparison, and again, I'll get to it in a second. But you can see bid year one was essentially went up about 3%, and if you guys remember from my transportation presentation, I calculated about 8 to 10% for both regular transportation statewide and bus monitors. So luckily, we did have some savings in transportation that was offset in another item, which I'll get to on 6I in a little bit. But any questions before I continue on? with
Before you
explaining?
continue,
Yeah.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the bid recommendation, which, from what I read here, is to accept the bid from First Student.
Accept the bid for first student for 3 years and a 2-year option.
Okay. Do I have that motion to accept this bid from First Student?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So I will now open it up to questions. And I'll kick it off. Nobody's in a hurry. Thank you for explaining that. That was helpful. Are we committed to the volumes that are stated within this bid?
No, so that's what I was gonna get to. If you look at the last page in the packet, it's, looks like this for, so basically, as you can see in that, right now, we use 13 buses, regular buses. 12 are basically in district. One is our bus that goes to Rogers, Portsmouth, St. Phil's, et cetera. So those are 13 regular buses. In this bid process, we got rid of the 86 passenger buses. That was some of the savings we were able to save, so we're on the 71 to 77 passenger buses, which is the 50207 per day. If you were to get a 86 passenger, you'd be paying about $600 per day. We pay $593 right now. Midday pre-K with the consolidation, we are going to reduce to one midday pre-K bus. Special ed wheelchair bus will remain at one. Special ed with aids type C bus will remain at 3. The special ed buses, the reason they're a little more is because of the type of bus, but they also include a fixed cost for bus monitors. So we're just paying that daily rate, nothing additional. So that's good. I'm not a fan of variable costs. So with that said, before I get into the other items, Madam Chair, I don't know if that answers your question at all.
It answered one.
Okay.
I'm noticing that, and while I do appreciate the fact that this 3% year one jump is less than what we thought may be the case,
Yeah.
it is followed by 4% the following year, 4% the third year, and if we were to choose the options for years 4 and 5, it'd be an additional 5% per year.
Yes, however, as you know, this will accept the bid, and then we'll go to contract where I can kind of beat them up over that. So
Okay.
that's the plan. I've actually already, they were supposed to get back to me today, but I'm already on them a little bit for statewide, so I should have some additional savings there.
Okay, thank you, because we, as a district, we just can't continue to afford a skyrocketing cost that is out of our control. It comes as no surprise to me that First Student was a low bidder. And, you know, I did read through this, and there was note that the service has been good, and certainly this past year, I have heard very little in the way of complaints, which is good. But, you know, taken across the 3 years, that's a 3.8% average annual increases. Our employees don't get that kind of a
Correct.
increase.
And that's
you
gonna
know.
be my suggestion, is gonna be a COLA, which would be like 2.5% right now, and that's what I'm gonna try to fight.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'd also, the other question I have is the bus count. Is this the same amount of buses that we have currently?
Correct. We can't make, midday pre-K, we could make that change because we did in the specs. But I can't make any changes until we actually get in the contract, which is the next step.
But you would be able to reduce it if you saw that opportunity, and I
If-
certainly hope you do.
Correct.
Okay, because I
Yeah,
think,
that's been in discussion. First Student obviously is kicking back a little bit because they want their revenue, obviously, but we already think we could probably decrease one regular bus right now. But again, I can't get to that point until the next steps.
Okay. And then, the only other question, and I promise you I'll yield the floor. This special ed chair bus, I'm seeing $613. That's a full-size bus?
No, that's just a regular, it's almost like a 20-passenger bus with
Okay.
the wheelchair, but that includes monitor fees. We don't pay any extra for
Okay.
monitors, so that's an all-in expense.
Okay, it just, in reading it through on this bid, I thought it was part of the 71 to 77 passenger.
No, that's just the regular buses.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, that's the only questions I had for now. Anyone else?
The only thing I've heard on and off this year is inconsistent bus monitors. Are they doing anything to shore that up and guarantee or recruitment efforts or something so that we have consistent?
Yeah, obviously, as you heard, I know you pay attention to the transportation meetings, and that's a, regional thing going on, but we have been asking them to ensure that, and especially with the potential of statewide coming in-house, which we'll talk to later this evening, they need to get that. That's a priority, so, yes. Yes, we try anyway.
I do have one more question. On the last page, it speaks to a performance bond.
What was that, sorry?
The last page of the bid document speaks to a performance bond. If required, the annual cost of an annual 100% performance bond or letter of credit shall be. Can you explain what that is?
That's just something that's part of the bid. It's like a mandatory Rhode Island. I don't have an answer of why we include this, but it's included in all transportation bids.
So we would be required to include this, to pay for this?
So you only pay for it if you need the letter of credit. So it's a
Okay.
credit if you can't pay your bill. They would provide you a certain amount per 100,000, like a bank loan type deal.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's just, that's all it really is.
My initial thought was we'd pay for a guaranteed of on-time
No,
buses
yeah.
and monitors.
Yeah, I asked the same question, because that was, every time we opened a bid, that was the first thing they checked in the box, make sure the performance bond was there.
Okay, it's financial legalese, okay, got it.
Yeah, exactly. They just want to make sure they get their money somehow.
And we went with Bristol Warren, Middletown.
And Little Compton.
Compton. In the past, had we not been part of a larger consortium?
Yes, Barrington decided to go on their own, because they're hoping, they are hoping to do something with East Providence.
Okay,
And I'll get into that a little more during executive session, because that's what a lot of districts are doing, so.
okay. And Portsmouth?
Portsmouth decided to use their emergency fifth or sixth year last time. So they're actually going out to bid next year. They would have, they actually are usually they pretty much run the bid in the past for the districts I mentioned.
Okay,
But they'll go out to bid next year.
okay,
Yep.
thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of approving this bid? It's unanimous, thank you. All right, next up, we have, Mr. Andrade, you're still on the hot seat, FY '25 year-to-date actuals.
So just a quick update. Year-to-date spending total $25.3 million through March 2025, or 69% of our FY '25 projected budget. We did identify some additional areas that exceeded budgetary expectations. One was unemployment expense. I increased it by $10,000 to make the year-to-date projection. Certified substitutes is much higher than projections. I'm hoping 25,000 covers it, but we need to see how the next couple months go. We have multiple individuals on maternity leave right now. And lastly is special ed personal care attendant, or there's another line item, contracted nurses services, the same idea. But we had some additional services there. They were on a 4 to 6 week lag in invoicing, so we just received several invoices along with their spending analysis for the rest of the year being March. I always ask for a spend analysis for every 3 months. So with that said, that increased by about 35,000. With all said and done, total month-over-month projection spend difference was an additional 58,000, or 1.9% year-to-date compared to the original FY25 budget. I am projecting a shortfall projection of about 2 to 2.30%, so I am expecting some more line items to exceed budget by the year ends, but we're still analyzing that spending.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have a question for Sarah. The PCA that's mentioned in the financials, what do they do that our TAs aren't doing? Because I know the TAs are filling out PCA logs.
More nursing services, CNA-like services for a student who needs that.
So you have CNAs and you have nurses, depending on the,
Yeah, depending
Currently.
on exactly the medical documentation of the student that requires it.
so currently you have a nurse and a CNA on them?
Just a CNA. for the
Just a
student.
CNA?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to reconfirm that we are continuing to be in a quote-unquote spending-free situation, that any and all spending that is necessary is being done. However, no discretional spending is being allowed at this time.
No, as you can tell by my last updates, it's pretty much in the mandated area of special ed, et cetera, you know.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to kind of put that out there to remind everyone that the district has been, since this was discovered several months back, has been in this posture and doing their very best to not spend unless it's necessary.
Correct, and I will say that there's been a couple vendors, mostly software vendors, that Danny's been working with to kind of push those April, May invoices, you know, into July to kind of help us out, which is, they're basically giving us 2 free months and renewing later.
Would they be forgiven,
What do you mean forgiven?
those months? Because
No.
wouldn't you have to account for them regardless?
No, not if they're providing us free liability. It's not like a regular prepaid account in the government area.
Okay,
Yeah.
all righty. Anyone else have questions?
Are we experiencing any overtime?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that can't be
so-
frozen?
No, so overtime is, so unified basketball is part of overtime for TAs, as Kim just mentioned, and also custodians. We had 2 that were just out, 1 just returned for medical. So, you know, it's just unfortunate with that area.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move next to the FY26 budget update. Brandon?
Thank you again. So I just wanted to give the school committee an update on the budget. So as you guys can see in your packet this evening, the total budget request has not changed. It's still the 35.5 million that we discussed when you first approved the draft a couple school committee meetings ago. There was a couple areas that I'll highlight that did change, mostly the material areas, and then I'll get into the backup that kind of shows what was submitted versus what changed. So personnel, the Tiverton High School, Tiverton Middle School schedules have been drafted. The initial job assignments have been made with the union representatives, so we're able to kind of iron that out. However, there's still some more to iron out when the job fairs are hosted in the near future for the unions and their assignments for the future. Benefits, we were able to finally firm up some projected costs for pension, FICA, Medicare, and health, dental, life, all that good stuff. And then also firm up some costs from the 20.5 FTE personnel reductions that occurred. Next, we were also able to reduce 2 job coaches and IDA will cover the remaining coaches, so there was some savings there in the student assistant area. And then as I discussed with the transportation did reduce some savings from the initial budget, but those were offset by out-of-district placement and out-of-district tuition that did increase from the initial budget. So it was kind of a net zero with transportation. So with that said, I want to get this in front of you this evening because we are meeting with the Budget Committee on Monday, April 14th, and I will be sharing the same document with them, including the town administrator as well. So as you see in the backup, similar packet report, but FY25 projected spend as of March, FY26 proposed budget, and then the change, the amount change, the percent change, and then very to the right is the submittal that was submitted on 3/19 and the changes that were different from 3/19. Going through them, I'll skip personnel because I just spoke about that a little bit, including benefits. Second page is the purchase professional and technical services. Again, I spoke about the student assistant. That was the biggest change there, including some software savings of $30,000. Next page, very little, $8,000 net from property services. Spoke about other purchase services. That was pretty much the transportation and out-of-district costs. Next page is supplies. That's pretty much flat. And the final page, which is property and other, that's pretty much flat. Any questions on this?
Wondering if do you also have, even if hidden, a column of what the FY25 budget was?
Yes.
Because I think the Budget Committee may want to have that as a comparative.
I do apologize. They would have that from the 3/19 submittal. I
Okay.
just put it like this, so it was a bigger view for everyone.
Okay.
I didn't want too many lines. So they actually have FY22 actuals, 23 actuals, 24, similar to what you guys saw a couple meetings ago.
Okay.
I just decreased it for tonight's meeting just to kind of show the changes.
Okay. I do want to thank you for continuing to follow this in such a detailed method. It gives me a lot of confidence that you know every penny that's in here, and you're learning about even the half a pennies at this point.
Every day.
You know, it's something that we all need to be cognizant of, though, that this is predicated on an assumption that we do indeed receive a 4% increase from the town. And so this bottom line of 35.5 million may very well change depending upon any allocations that the town makes. Also, as you can see, it's been a month since Mr. Andrade submitted this budget at a line level to us, and he's had a number of changes because we are so early in this process, right? The next fiscal year doesn't begin until July 1st, and really, until we get to closer to that point, we won't have the best possible line item budget for us
Correct.
to hang our hats on.
Yeah, for example, we're still waiting for property and liability insurance increase, et cetera, so there is still
Yep.
some items that we're waiting on.
So I would expect that in May, we'll have some more line level discussions taking place here. So I did want to point that out, but thank you very much. Anyone else have any questions, discussion points? All right, thank you. Next up, we have layoffs and one recall. Dr. Sanchioni?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd ask the committee's consideration to return to Agenda Item 3, Special Recognition. Our Carson Scholar Award winner is here this evening, and I'd like to recognize her.
Okay. No?
No? Thanks, Caroline. Good try.
Scratch that thought? Okay, Dr. Sanchioni.
We'll go to the original agenda item. So as outlined in your packet, I'm going to ask the school committee to vote two distinct actions tonight. The first one is a positive one. I'm going to ask you to reappoint Julie Egan to the Pocasset preschool teacher and her position's she's being recalled due to her retirement.
Okay, do I have a motion to rescind the layoff for Julie Egan of Pocasset School?
I'll gladly make that motion. It's always good to bring one back.
Yeah?
More back?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Yes.
Okay, and the second action this evening, I'm going to ask you to approve, as outlined in your packet on page 2, the 2 staff members who are being laid off, again, as part of our budget reduction to make sure the FY26 budget is balanced. So the names are outlined there for you. I'll ask your approval to approve those layoffs.
Just to clarify, these would be the names that are highlighted in yellow?
Yes,
Toward
on
the end of
page
the
2.
list? Okay, thank you. I have a motion to approve the 2 additional layoffs as per Dr. Sanchioni's recommendation. Do I have that motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? I will second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Great, and with great regret.
Yes. Okay, with announcements and future meetings, just as a reminder to everyone, the school department will be presenting to the town's budget committee next Monday at the Tiverton Senior Center at 6 p.m. And then our next regular meeting is scheduled for April 22nd, followed by another one in May on May 13th. And at this time, I would like to go into executive session. Any individuals being discussed in executive session have been given advance notice and an opportunity to have those discussions in open session. I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session under Rhode Island General Law 4246582, negotiations update for the NEA tentative agreement. Rhode Island General Law 4246582 for negotiations with Council 94. And Rhode Island General Law 42465A7, contract negotiations for special ed transportation. Do I have those motions?
I'll make a motion for that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Kim, roll call vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
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 We are in executive session.